I'm ready. Believe that. You hear me? First off, roll tide full of pride. Roll tide full of pride. Uh-oh, it's portal time. Uh-oh, it's portal time. Now we know you know how the portal goes. Alabama has lost some players, but also gained some players, right? That's the name of the game now. That's the name of the portal. Has it been some major losses? Not for real. Potential players who could have possibly contributed, maybe so. But once again, Bama can recycle players, can bring players in through the portal. You know, we seen Indiana build a whole team off of portal transfers. You know, so we can't get too caught up in recruiting and 5-star, 4-star, this and that. Indiana had what? A team full of 3 stars who were coached very well, who were mean, who had tenacity, who had experience, right? And Kurt Sinetti had them boys ready to play. So that shows you right there, right? Coaching, number one, most important. Recruiting, no. Number two, the portal, baby. Hit the portal. Now, recruiting is still important. You know, getting 4 stars and 5 stars, still very important. But the portal is where it's at, especially the realm that college football is in today. The portal, getting experienced players, maybe even older players, and coaching and developing them in the right way. You know, young players, it takes time for them to grow and develop. Now, you have some that come in and are ready to play right away. That's a plus, that's a win, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you're going to have to develop these players, put them in the best positions to win. And that starts with your position coaches, your head coaches, etc. And we know Kalen DeBoer is going to have to make some moves this offseason. Firing, hiring, boom. We know what it is. We know what it's time for. But that's for a later video. Right now, we're talking portal business. I repeat, portal business, you know. But Bama can definitely build a better roster through this portal if they make the right decisions, identify the right players. Correct? Correct. And like I said, we lost some names. Mbakwe, we all already know about him. Will he stay gone or will it be like last year where he enters the portal, then he comes back? You know, you can't really trust his word because he said he wasn't going nowhere. As soon as the season ended, boom, he's in the portal. All right, bet. You don't want to be here, get up out of here. And that goes for any player, Ty Simpson included. It's rumors, speculations, news that Ty Simpson may be going to a Tennessee or Oregon. If he goes to Tennessee, guess what? He is truly an op, truly a traitor. Now, I know it depends on if he gets a first round draft grade or not. But at the end of the day, if he wants to go to Tennessee and be a true rival, all right, bet. Let's bang his ass up next year. Heavy, bro. You hear me? Early. No cap. Now, if Ty Simpson were to leave, would I be mad? No. I mean, we got Austin Mack back there and Keelan Russell. Let them battle and compete for the number one spot. And if Ty Simpson were to return to Bama, you may see a Austin Mack hitting the portal, maybe even a Keelan Russell hitting the portal, baby. You hear me? So at the end of the day, best wishes, best of luck to Ty Simpson. But if he chooses to go to the other side, hey, he is truly an op. No way around it, hands down, man down, you know? But the transfer portal, this is where we at in college football now. This is where we are at with it. Now, I understand Bama has signed a tight end. I'm going to get into the articles in a minute. So that's a plus. That's a win. You know, certain players they're looking at, I believe, a running back from NC State. We're going to break it down and get into it. But this is the business of college football now. So Kalen DeBoer, Greg Byrne, Bama, they have to adapt. No way around it, you know? Let's get into it, dog. Roll Tide full of pride. This is the off season, but this is the real season. If you ask me, Bama needs to attack them trenches, attack the linebacker position, period. First article, we're going to talk about players lost and players gained. Give me 1 second, man. Here we go. Alabama football. 2026 transfer portal tracker. The portal giveth, the portal taketh away. Oh, yeah. Let's get it. Alabama season is officially over, and the transfer portal window has now opened. The window will run for 2 weeks from today until January 16th, as this extended January window eliminates the spring transfer window for this year at least. Who knows what the rules will be next year? So we're going to see more players enter possibly. Since they have shortened the transfer window, you can no longer transfer in the spring. But really, that's a plus for Bama, a plus for the whole college football scene. Now, I think these players should have to be under contract when they sign for at least 2 years, man. You know, what sense does it make? How do you really authentically build a team if a player can just leave after 1 year? To me, that's cap. That needs to be revamped early. Alabama has generally seemed to be somewhere in the range of having 15 or so transfers out and maybe 10 coming in. Kalen DeBoer and the staff did sign a smaller recruiting class this year, so they may be gearing up to hit the portal a little harder than in the past. Transferring out, wide receiver Bubba Hampton. Now, some of these players, really majority of these players, were really no factor this year, and some of them probably won't even have a chance for competing or getting real playing time, maybe a couple. But once again, you talk about major losses. I don't think it was any major losses. Maybe Noah Carter, as far as being an edge. But at the end of the day, Bama can definitely bounce back. Here we go. The second-year wide receiver never saw the field and was buried on the depth chart, even below younger players in Lloyd Sear Brooks, Rico Scott, and Derek Meadows. He was most likely never going to play. And that's just what it is, man. Some of these players you see entering the portal really have no shot of playing at Bama, or they either don't want to sit there and compete. And it is what it is, man. Like I say, I'm going to stand on it 10 toes down. If they want to leave Bama, let them go. Wide receiver DB Jalen Mbakwe. What a weird 2 seasons it was for Bach. He was a top 10 recruit that immediately got on the field as a defensive back his freshman year, but lost playing time throughout the year. At the end of 2024, he entered the portal, supposedly with a $1 million NIL offer elsewhere, but Alabama convinced him to stay. However, he decided to switch positions to wide receiver, which was probably a bad move for him. I think he was much better at the cornerback position rather than receiver, but hey, it is what it is. It's his choice. Where he was buried behind a big cast of established players and didn't really see the field as a sophomore. Running back Richard Young. Young is going into his 4th year. He had fairly high expectations coming in and even got the starting nod for Alabama the first 2 games of the year with the Jam Miller out. It was a pretty terrible showing for him, and his backup at the time, Kevin Riley and Daniel Hill, showed a lot more. Young pretty much didn't see the field after September. Richard Young, another guy, not really going to see playing time, not really going to make an impact. So it is what it is, man. He want to leave, go somewhere else. All right, cool. Boom. Defensive back Cam Howard. Howard originally played for the FCS Charlotte, then transferred to Alabama after Nick Saban retired when the Tide lost almost their entire DB room. Howard served as a reserve depth piece the last couple of years, which was always the expectation. He got a couple of years of big-time training, and now we'll hope to find a school where he can get on the field. And once again, a lot of these are guys who would not be playing at Bama, who really wouldn't have got the opportunity or the chance anyway. So you can't really be too mad at them for leaving. And like I said, if they want to go, let them go, baby. You hear me? Let the players who want to stay locked in, who want to stay loyal, let them stay, period. Offensive guard, Rock Montgomery. Now in his 3rd year, Montgomery never saw meaningful snaps. He also got in a weird argument with the coaches a couple of springs ago. Another guy, not really important. Center Joseph Ayanada. The redshirt freshman never really saw playing time and didn't seem to be on track to have a future role. Wide receiver Jalen Hale. Now, Jalen Hale, he is a dog. You know, he was definitely a dog before that injury. So you just wish him the best, man. For real. The injury kind of set him back, you know, got him out of rhythm. But now hopefully he bounces back, bro. Goes to a team where he gets a real opportunity to play right. Yeah, but he definitely has talent. Definitely has talent, man. So we'll see what happens. But shout out Jalen Hill. Best wishes to him, dog. Period. But right now, the receiving room is going to be tough for him to compete for a starting spot. And maybe he just don't want to compete for a starting spot. Maybe he feel like if he goes somewhere else, he has an easier chance of being the number one or number two or number three even. It is what it is. The junior receiver was once a very promising freshman a couple of years ago. He made a big time catch against Ole Miss in 2023, but he missed all of 2024 after a devastating spring knee injury, then found himself too far down the depth chart while trying to rehab his way back this year. The injury was one that he may never be the same coming back from, but some team will be hoping that he can get back to the potential he flashed a couple of seasons ago. And as we all know, major injuries suck. Injuries in general suck. Sometimes they're a part of the game, right? You just hope he can bounce back 100% and be the player he used to be. You know, everyone remembers that crazy catch versus Ole Miss. So if he can get back to being that caliber of player, sky's the limit. Matter of fact, it's no limit for that man. Let's get it, man. Period. Offensive tackle / guard, Olus Alinen. This is the first portal entrant that has surprised me. Alinen seemed to be very close to the next man up to be a starter at pretty much any position on the O-line. So he's very versatile, including getting a lot of first-team reps last spring at left tackle with Caden Proctor out. I was expecting Alinen to be competing for a starting role next year with a significant chunk of Alabama's O-line moving on. Now this year, when you see offensive guards and tackles and O-linemen leaving, it may be cause for concern, you know? You can just hope and wonder that some of the young guys that Bama recruited, some of the freshmen can step up and be ready to play next season. As we know, the O-line was the weakest point of the team, hands down, man down, period. But when you see certain O-linemen go, especially ones in this case who could potentially have been starters going into next year, then you ask yourself the question, wow, is this really hurting the team? Is this really affecting the O-line in a negative way? And where does Bama go from here as far as depth chart, etc.? See, this is where the transfer portal comes in. This is when you attack teams like Michigan for their tackles or for their guards, you know? Indiana, once again, I got to reiterate it, had a whole team of 3 stars, you know? Had a whole roster they built off of the portal. So once again, I tell you, Bama needs to realize that and attack the damn portal. You can't just sit and rely on you getting 4 stars and 5 stars and having a good recruiting class, right? And think they're going to come in right away and be prepared to play, baby. No, get you some experience, guys. At the end of the day, get you some dogs, some killers up front. That's what Bama really needs, with a move body by any means mentality, right? Defy gravity, right? Period. At the end of the day, you want mean machines and mean dogs who gonna bite all game. Offensive linebacker Noah Carter. Outside linebacker Noah Carter, of course. Carter was one of the few guys that came in late as a true freshman in Kalen DeBoer's first few months with Alabama. He was a Washington commit that flipped to the Tide with his coach. He started getting some playing time in the last few games, but is still behind Yanze Pierre, dog. Quay Russaw, if he can stay healthy, continue to grow and get better, dog. And Justin Hill on the depth chart. He's leaving. His leaving might signal that Pierre isn't planning to leave for the NFL. And that would be great news for Alabama. You hear me? Hopefully Yanze Pierre does come back, does return. That would be a plus, a big plus for the Crimson Tide. Yanze Pierre is a dog heavy. What is this? Place kicker Peter Nataro served as Connor Talty's backup this season as a freshman. Kicked off 5 times and was 5 of 5 on PATs. Not believed to be on scholarship. Not surprising, not shocking here. Talty pretty much holds that role down. Kick returner / receiver Cole Adams, a redshirt sophomore. Adams caught 5 passes for 71 yards this season while playing only 45 offensive snaps. He led the team with 20 punt returns for 171 yards. And Cole Adams, let's be honest, he's a guy that definitely wouldn't touch the field next year. So you understand why he would want to hit the portal. I mean, he may even go to a smaller school, right, where he can really get on the field and get a real opportunity. Yeah. But it is what it is, man. Sometimes you just got to be very realistic with some of these players about do they have a chance or not to really play and start and be on the field. And Cole Adams, nah. In that stacked receiver room, he's not going to be a starter at all, a 1, 2, or 3 at all. Offensive lineman Micah DeBose. Now, this probably was the toughest loss here. Micah DeBose, people were very excited about him, what he could do. So we'll see how it pans out. Mobile native did not play a snap this his true freshman season. And once again, a freshman, still growing, still developing. This is where the concern can come in, right? Young guys leaving, guys who could potentially play and be a factor next year leaving. So Micah DeBose, bro, out of there. But Bama has to regroup and recycle. Transferring in, tight end Josh Ford, the 6'6", 265 redhead from Oklahoma State, is considered an inline run blocking specialist. That's good. We need somebody who can block, move bodies, period. Big dude, too, 6'6", 265. I like that right there. You hear me? Heavy, no cap. With 572 snaps under his belt, the last couple of years in Stillwater, he's never been much of a receiver, but should add a blocking element to Alabama's perimeter that they sorely lacked in 2025. No cap. Some more updates. January 2nd, NC State standout running back Hollywood Smothers had visits to Alabama and FSU lined up. Though he has since canceled his trip to Tallahassee, Smothers began his college career at Oklahoma. After one season, the Charlotte native was recruited to NC State by then Wolfpack Director of Recruiting Jatavis Sanders. Sanders now holds the same title with the Crimson Tide. The rising redshirt junior gained 939 yards and scored 6 touchdowns for NCSU this fall. He also had 37 receptions for 189 yards and a score. Hollywood Smothers, an elusive back, an explosive back. I think we need a more explosive back anyway. I think we could use more talent in that running back room. No disrespect to the guys, but yeah, you bring in a guy like Hollywood Smothers, it elevates the competition immediately. He can be used as a weapon out of the backfield, etc. Has breakaway speed, all that. So I'm pretty much excited for this potential commit here. Also visiting is former Virginia Tech middle linebacker Caleb Woodson. He is a 6'3", 230-pounder, so big dudes, a big dude, good size on him, who started 17 games over his 3-year career with the Hokies, over 9 games this season. He had 58 tackles, second on the team, 2.5 tackles for loss, 1 pass breakup, and a quarterback hurry. The rising true senior was team captain coming into the 2025 campaign, but was arrested for DWI a few days before the season opener and stripped of his captaincy. So maybe potential off the field issues. You got to nip that in the bud. You hear me? We don't need no players getting locked up, doing no stupid shit affecting the team in a negative way. You hear me? Bottom line. But this dude is 6'3", 230. Hopefully he can run fast. And we know Bama, that's a position of need. Linebacker, running back, receiver, O-line, etc. Linebackers will be gone. Lawson out of there. Jefferson out of there. You know what it is. So if they can get him, would definitely be a plus. Last but not least, probably the most exciting potential signee, right? Auburn wide receiver Cam Coleman, everyone has been talking about him, has reportedly decided to visit Texas, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, Southern Cal, and Alabama, January 7th. Now, some saying he's trying to make anywhere in the vicinity of $2 million. Bama has $2 million to give that guy. Bama's not broke. You hear me? So if you got to pay the man, guess what? Pay the man. You talking about the best receiver in the portal, period. Right? You're talking about elevating your offense, period. You know? So yeah, Bama, you got to pay him, pay up. I don't care what nobody talking about round yonder. And that's it for the first part of portal news. So like I say, players come in, players go. It's Bama's job to bring more players in, man. Quickly and swiftly. Early, heavy. Now, Ty Simpson, let's get into this Ty Simpson article. Like I say, Ty Simpson could very well be an op by the start of next season, depending on what choice he makes. Give me 1 second. I'm going to get into this article right quick, man. Once again, roll tide full of pride. Roll tide full of pride. Ty Simpson could leave Alabama for SEC rival report. Year 2 of the Kalen DeBoer era in Tuscaloosa went better than the first, but it still ended in disappointment. One season after going 9-4 and missing the college football playoff, DeBoer led the Crimson Tide to an 11-4 record on a first-round win in the CFP, but Alabama was eliminated from the tournament after an embarrassing 38-3 loss to number 1 Indiana, the worst bowl loss in school history. Piss poor. Many believe DeBoer is firmly on the hot seat heading into 2026, which he definitely should be. And he may be even under more pressure if he loses star quarterback Ty Simpson. Most expected Simpson to enter the 2026 NFL draft, but according to college football insider Tom Loy of 247 Sports, there's also a possibility Simpson returns to college next season, but enters the transfer portal and plays for one of the Tide's top SEC rivals. Oh, man. If Ty Simpson gets a first-round grade, he's going to the NFL. If not, keep an eye on Tennessee and Oregon, Lloyd said, via TriStar Network. Now, I don't think Ty Simpson is getting no first-round grade. You know, now it wasn't the bad performance of the offense wasn't all on Ty, but it was times he regressed during the season, definitely. Does he have talent? Yeah. But it's a lot of questions surrounding Ty Simpson. How does he perform under pressure? You know, how does he perform once he's rattled, right? So it's a lot up in the air about Ty Simpson, dog, period. So I don't think he will be getting a first-round grade. So with that being said, they're saying he's either going to Tennessee or Oregon. Man, if he goes to Tennessee, like I say, he is a true op. According to ESPN draft expert Matt Miller, there are only 11 players with true first-round grades in the 2026 class, and Simpson isn't one of them. Indiana's Heisman Trophy winner Fernando Mendoza and Oregon Signal caller Dante Moore are the only QBs Miller gave a round 1 grade to. And Lloyd isn't the only one to pose Simpson could hit the portal. A little over 2 weeks ago, the Athletics' Dan Brugler also questioned if Simpson and Alabama could be heading for a divorce during an episode of the Athletic College Football Show. I do wonder if this could be a Carson Beck-like situation, where maybe it's time for both sides to move on, Brugler said. Alabama has 5-star Keelan Russell ready to take over. If Simpson comes back, at the very least, I think it'll be a competition between those two. So this is a situation where does he maybe go with Beck plan, where he declares but keeps his options open? And if another team comes in and says, hey, we'll give you a couple of $1 million, come be our quarterback, to me, 13 games is just not enough for a team to gamble on Simpson in the top 10. Simpson was in the conversation to be the number 1 overall pick as recently as a month ago. However, Mendoza and Moore have since surpassed him. Yeah. Beginning of the season, mid-season, Simpson looked great, but it's how he played down the stretch that really affected him in a negative way as far as being a number one overall pick or even a first round pick in general. And that's it for that article, man. And that's what it is, dog. Heavy, you know? Like I say, I know you hear little sniffles in my voice, a little cough, but yeah, we fighting this cold, whatever you want to call it right now, fighting it off, man. So let's get it, you know. But the work still has to be done, right? Yeah. But if Simpson comes back, it should be and will be a good competition. You know, if he does come back, you'll probably see Austin Mack leave and hit the portal. But if he comes back or not, it needs to be the best man on the field, you know. Once again, all the offensive troubles were not on Ty Simpson. You look at Ryan Grubb, you look at the O-line. But Ty Simpson didn't play as well as we thought down the stretch. He definitely regressed at times, especially late in the season, bro, period. So his inconsistency is affecting him now as far as being a number one overall grade or getting that first round grade. But pay attention. It's going to be very intriguing to see what happens. But if he goes to Tennessee, I repeat, if he goes to Tennessee, right, he is truly an op. Heavy early. If he stays, boom. You may see Austin Mack hit the portal. And you may see a true competition between him and Keelan Russell. Hey, man, you know what it is. Uh-oh, it's portal time. Big Skull here, dog. Fire them comments up. Let me know how you feel, dog, about what's going down in Bama around yonder. You know what it is, dog. Big Skull here. Roll Tide full of pride. Win, lose, or draw. Forever. Roll Tide.